on a daily basis. That's why I love your approach of being more intuitive for you specifically and learning your own system and your own body, because everyone is different, whether it's for food or working out, etc. But I mean, I find that people are hopping more on trends than actually listening to their body. I mean, when I was living in LA and I was teaching SoulCycle, but then I was also, after my 3 SoulCycle classes I would teach, I would go and take a Barry's class.
Yeah.
So constant HIIT, constant intense cardio on the body. But I'm like, everyone's doing these workouts, so I'm going to do these workouts. And I also saw other people with bodies that I wanted to emulate, just like you said. And what happened was I completely burnt out my adrenals.
I was going to say, I've seen so much research that actually shows, and I started looking at it because a few people in my life have polycystic ovary syndrome.
Yes.
And
so many people.
So many people. And when I was researching it, and I found that it actually says that when you do a lot of cardio or high intensity training, it actually increases your estrogen levels. And so for a lot of women, and I don't have PCOS, but I have higher estrogen levels. And so I was the person who, I'm like, unless I'm sweating and really feeling sick, it's not a workout. And that's how I trained my mind to believe that. Unless I'm running and sweating and really or doing a Barry's workout or something where I almost am physically sick, that's what a good workout is. And what I realized was I was doing way more damage to my body, even if I was getting more into the shape that I thought I wanted or into the structure that I thought I wanted. I was actually depleting myself so much more internally. And that's another thing you have to think about, like, what are my hormones telling me? When I'm doing my bloods, what is it saying that I'm lacking or that I need? And so I think there's a lot of research that goes into tuning in as well. It's not just sitting there and thinking, what's my body feeling? Even though that's a really good way to do it emotionally and mentally, but physically we also have to put in the experiments and the work and the research behind the actual scientific information we have in front of us and reacting based off that.
Sure. Have you done any of the...
I've done everything.
Yeah. Tell me what you've done and what's been really helpful.
Yeah, I did a full blood work. By that I mean hormones, vitamins, minerals, and estrogen, progesterone, to test all of those levels. I did all of that, and then I also did a gut test. I've done gut tests quite often because, again, once you do one gut test, 6 months later, a year later, your gut changes based on your environment and what you've been through and the stress that you've been through. So doing a gut test regularly will help you to understand what foods your body needs. Like, I need more foods that have prebiotics. I need more foods that have been sprouted and have these vitamins and have these minerals. And so doing a gut test was really helpful. So full blood work, gut test, and then I also, this is not something everybody can do and to be accessible, but because I had it available to me, I got my brain scanned.
Cool.
And that was really interesting, just to understand, like, there were lots of traits that I had that I would always put down to, like, put myself down for. And it helped me understand my brain structurally. So one of the things he had told me was that a lot of the areas in my mind, when he scanned it, they're lighting up at the same time. And usually what happens with people is they light up one area and then another area and then another area. And it actually helped other people also in my life understand why my brain goes from one thing to another so fast. And it's not that I'm not listening, it's that when someone says one thing to me, my brain's doing da-da-da-da-da, and suddenly I'm asking you something that's completely unrelated. So it makes someone feel like I'm not actually listening, but really I've done a whole...
You connected the dots.
Yeah, in so many different ways. And suddenly I'm asking you a question about something that's completely irrelevant, but it's connected in my mind. So I've also learned to understand my mind a bit better in that way, but structurally also explain that for me. So full blood work, but the basics I would really recommend is full blood work and getting your digestion checked, because your digestion links to every other part of your body as well.
What was interesting about your digestion results, or at least one of them, that surprised you?
So for me, from the blood work, high estrogen surprised me, because, and again, the things that you end up changing from that, by the way, are drinking water from plastic bottles. A huge thing that contributes to high estrogen levels.
I was about to apologize for the plastic bottles. No, I told her, I was like,
here. No, nothing here. No, they're glass. So that's a huge contributor, and again, heating food up in plastic, plasticware, anything.
I've been a crazy person about that.
Me too. I really changed that because one of my friends I watched a video of yours recently where you were talking about woo-woo mentality. Like, I was like, this is woo-woo. so I kept telling my friends, I was like, I'm telling you, you're drinking from plastic bottles every single day. That's all they had in their home. I was like, it's not good for you. And they see me as that, like, the OTT extreme.
Same.
Everything is just like,
I'm that girl in every friend group.
and I'm like, don't listen. The guy goes to get his blood work done. He has high estrogen levels. And the first thing his doctor, a normal doctor, asked him was, do you drink from plastic bottles?
No way.
And he was like, yeah. Next thing I go, they've got like just waters in their thing. I was like, what? And he told me, he was like, yeah, this is what the doctor told me. Again, these are all such subtle little changes that we're making, but that can make a huge difference. So the estrogen, and then in terms of digestion, what made a difference to me? So I'm like quite regular in how you would expect you to be regular if you've got a good digestion.
Sure.
But one thing I did realize, or it made me more aware of, was the variety of, like, having more variety in your life helps create more variety in your microbiome. And so again, seasonally, changing what you're eating based on the season, we get so used to having the same things throughout the year because it's all available to us that we've lost awareness of what maybe we need to be changing and how impactful those changes are. So the different colored vegetables you're having in different seasons, the sprouted things that you're having, all of those things, the nuts and seeds that you're having at different times of the year. So I think actually tuning in to your environment, what's growing around you, what's available around you, and what should be or shouldn't be available to you at this time, whether it's summer, spring, winter, autumn, whatever it is, it actually helps to change the way that your gut will also react to the foods that you're eating. And that was something amazing to me. So now I just have like a list of things throughout the year that I want to swap in or swap out or to increase my microbiome, which also strengthens your gut because it makes it kind of robust to whatever you're putting into it. And your gut is just, there's so much research to show you the gut link to your mind, to your moods, to your hormones, to everything. A weak digestion depletes you.
I think now it's becoming more widely known, the connection. I remember my mom has had gut issues for a long time, and I remember having a conversation with her, not to like teach her something, but it just happened that it clicked for her that there were moments of anxiety, anxious periods in her life where her digestion was slowed down. Also what she was putting in her body was kind of a result of how anxious she felt, and so it was like it's this like loop.
Definitely.
And we have to be super aware of that, and I'm so glad that now in the mental health space that's being talked about more. How we're nourishing our bodies and how that affects our brain.
What do you do physically in terms of to keep yourself in check and understanding your own body?
On a regular basis I do the blood tests, I do the hormone checks. During that period that I was doing a lot of HIIT workouts, and I was drinking not quite a bit, but I was drinking more. A lot more, and not nourishing my body in a way that was intuitive. It was more so just getting food in my body to be able to work out like I was working out. And so once I got very real about that and saw the results, both how I was approaching my workouts was much slower, much more for healing rather than punishing my body. And now, just to speak to the food piece of eating more locally and seasonally, I'm in New York. It's not the easiest thing to do, but God is good, and He placed me next to an organic market. And I also have a harvest box that I'm subscribed to called Local Roots. Shout out. And it's great because they're sourcing from like the Hudson Valley, and every single week I get very local, very seasonal fruits and veggies, eggs and things like that. So it's just a nice way also to like reconnect with the earth and just understand what's happening on like a earth and soil level, because we're so disconnected. And I think Zach Bush talks about this a lot, but just that connection between our microbiomes and the soil. And how the soil is so depleted and so sterile now, and no wonder why our gut is in the state that it is. So I think about that a lot.
I love that you said, and it just sparked something, that when you said it's difficult in New York to get it, and I think like this shouldn't be a scary thing for people to do. Sometimes you think it has to be all or nothing, but like even if you do a 10% change, like I'm gonna, even if it's a 70-30 split of I'm gonna have 30% of my food